God of War is a fucking magnificent game. Back in the day, God of War was an event. These games were giants, absolute titans, punctuated by a story that felt deeply personal to Kratos, with action-packed combat that always felt fun. More so combo-based, but still really freaking fun and brutal, with absolutely unimaginable size and scope, dropping your jaw to the floor. Now, I want you to take everything that I just told you and multiply it by fucking 30. Back in 2016, we got unveiled to a new God of War. It seemed to promise a deeper story, one more personal to Kratos, if you can even imagine that. While other games tackled his traumas of killing a bunch of people and his rage-filled bloodlust to just murder, these ones are about him and his boy enjoying time together to bring his mother's ashes to the top of the mountain. In other games, you're chopping a fucking giant's dick off. In this one, you're riding a boat down a river.
Father?
Calmly. What? Kratos has learned from his past thanks to Faye, his wife. He doesn't have to murder anymore. His lust for blood has been replaced with a wiser, deeper Kratos that feels unnatural at first, but we grow to accept this new Kratos for who he is rather than who he was. He has changed and is no longer the monster that he was. Rather than talking in all caps like the other games, he's much more monotone in this game. And the voice actor, Christopher Judge, just hits the nail on the fucking head. Every line is menacing, yet still, that signature Kratos rasp that we've all grown to know and love is still there. Kratos is much more quiet in this game, but it makes those heart-to-heart moments and moments where he is genuinely angry,
what are you doing?
Shine even brighter. Kratos, through the entire game, routinely scolds his boy for being such an ignorant moron. He literally hucks him into a pit full of Draugr. How smart can the boy be, right? Pretty smart, actually. It's this contrast that makes the game so much fun to just listen to. My favorite parts of the game are where Kratos is just fucking obliterating these classic tales into the most lifeless interpretations of them.
There was one that concerned a hare and a tortoise. There was a horse. There was a tale of a frog. There was a young man who was caught stealing and condemned to die. There was a tale of a horse. The woodsman made his axe, and then he returned and chopped down the oldest trees in the forest.
Just because trees are old doesn't mean they're smart.
But it is those quiet moments that make the game so special. When he's sitting in the boat, talking with his son. Those are my favorite parts of God of War 2018. Like usual, God of War is a fucking roller coaster of emotions, constantly chucking idea at you, without ever stopping. Atreus and Kratos go on a little hunting trip, and then after that get thrown into a pretty understated boss fight where it teaches you the fundamentals on how to fight a troll. And then directly after that, it kicks you into probably the coolest fucking boss fight in a game ever. Like, how you make something this cool? In minutes, you go from mystical and ethereal to giant and sweeping. This boss fight is honestly the best in any of the God of War games. It is just the opening, but it already feels like they're hitting it out of the fucking ballpark. It's a constant power one-up of each other. Kratos picks up a tree, slams him into the building, after that pins him into a rock, throws him across the thing, fucking soars him into the skylines. This boss fight is just amazing and an absolute wonder to partake in. And we are just getting started. Like, this is baby shit in comparison to the rest. Right after that, Kratos is left with no choice other than to go into the mountain. Through this, they can continue Atreus' training and get to the top to fulfill his mother's wish.
Now, guys, I'm not gonna lie to you. I kind of lied to you. The story is actually really trash. Let's talk about the only part that actually matters: the gameplay. first off. Holy shit moly, this game is like knack on crack. And yes, that's what this game is, knack on crack.
Your moves have such a satisfying weightiness, simulating this powerhouse that Kratos is. So many moves with differences in variation and contrast to each other. All of them work uniquely from each other, and they're not confusing in the slightest like the other games. Every single ability is well telegraphed to the player, and there's no confusion on what button to press or what to do. You can press the trigger, fling a dude into the air, you can hold down the trigger, slash him in half, and it never gets old. You can hold the bumper and pinwheel your axe. You can throw your axe like Thor's hammer, return it to you, and then throw it again to create an explosion. We are barely scratching the surface here. You can also barehand and use the Blades of Chaos. These shits add so much replay value. Bare fists are good for getting extra stun on enemies when you're behind them. Meanwhile, the Blades of Chaos are great for getting extra fire damage and crowd control, of which the axe severely lacks. The axe is for more single target damage, while the Blades of Chaos make it easy to take care of large enemy groups. Not to mention the treasure trove that the skill tree unlocks. Holy. Once you unlock this bad boy, you're going to be pouring every single one of those XP points into leveling up the ones that suit your gameplay style. That's the fun thing about the combat too. It's easy to pick up, yet hard to master. The skill tree is inherently cluttered, but you can straight up skip some of the ones that you just don't like. Allowing the player to choose which ones they want allows for a really fun and dynamic gameplay style. And it goes to show that they just gave a fuck when making this. Okay, that was kind of a side tangent. Back to the combat. Along with the Blades of Chaos and being able to bare hand things, once you think the game is right out of surprises, boom! Execution. I want some guacamole. Executions are not only flashy and fucking brutal, but they also serve a purpose in the game. Executing a Draugr can cause fire damage to all surrounding enemies. You can execute a brute to pick him up and slam him into a bunch of enemies, throw him off a cliff. You can hop on a troll after that, slam him through a bunch of dudes as if it was the fucking Cyclops from not Psychonauts. God of War 1? I think that's what the game's called. The executions in this game are insane. Every single one even more over the top than the last. And then you got the soundtrack. Oh my lord. Once again, the triumphant orchestra makes a proud return, surging so much life into these battles. But there's also something unique about this in how sometimes it's quiet, unlike the other games, where most of the music is punctuated with all caps. Similar to how Kratos speaks in this game, some of the soundtrack is
More tracks?
pretty calm and monotone. But just like the gameplay, it doesn't stay in one style for the entirety of it. In one moment, you go from this giant orchestra chorus clashing to violins strumming in the wind. The powerful chorus raging back in as Kratos gains angrier. And even after all the praise that I've given this game, I still have problems. There is a severe lack of variety in the sub-bosses, and some of the side quests are abnormally weak, especially that dipshit fucking stupid wolf part. And don't even get me started on the fast travel system. It's a mess. First you have to open this dumb gateway and then choose where you want to go and then click that and then walk around in bumblefuck nowhere for like 20 minutes and then go through a door that brings you to the area that you wanted to go in the first place. This fast travel system is so inherently broken and they do nothing to fix it. Brock even allows you to go other places at one point, but that's still not enough to save it. But in terms of what the game does correctly, these are but minor gripes. God of War is a thematically rich, absolutely beautiful game with a story that hooked me in and gameplay that kept things fresh and was fun until the very end and left me on just such an ooh moment where I couldn't wait to see what was at the top. It's not better than Knack, though. Knack's still better.